Hello and welcome to this video. Together, let's explore why plastic credits are an emerging market and a very promising asset to own today. We start by giving a reminder of what you have discovered to be the business model together with this company, the CORSAIR Group. In one sentence, the business model is a collaborative cleanup of the planet, of the environment, first done by private individuals and then later on paid by companies and big brands. The customer purchases a P&P, which is the cleanup service by the company. Next step, CORSAIR delivers the order, collects and recycles new plastic waste, and finally, the customer will receive the new CSR plastic credit once the plastics have been recycled, the digital proof of the recycling. Now, this plastic credit has value on the market and will be sold and used by individuals, mostly by companies, to offset the plastic pollution footprint. Now, in one sentence, I like to sum it up. Customers pay to clean up plastic pollution, which creates new plastic credits. And when you order in advance with AMPLIVO, you get a lower price. That's the incentive. Great, so let's dive in. First of all, it's very important to talk about carbon credits and the carbon credit market, because plastic credits are the same concept now applied to another type of pollution. So what is the result of the global focus on carbon and global warming over the last 10 years? Well, this publication from Reuters is showing that the value of traded global markets for carbon dioxide permits, which are the carbon credits, reached a record $948 billion in 2023. So, an enormous, well-established market has emerged. Now, when we look at the carbon credit individual price, it depends on the markets, of course. Let's take the EU markets, one of the regulated, more mature markets. Back in 2017, we could see the carbon credit at around 2 to 3 euro per ton, and lately it's been around 80 euros per ton. What does it mean? It means that in over 5 years, the carbon credit price has taken 40 times its value, which means that if you were to own $10,000 of carbon credits back in 2017, now it would be worth $400,000. That's what it means. For plastic credit, we don't know where we are exactly, but we are before the emergence of the market, that's for sure. We might be here, we might be a little bit more to the left. We don't know. But what we do know is that the story is just beginning. Great, let's continue. International context, why are we convinced that this is the right timing now? Number one clue that we are seeing is the United Nations pushing the Plastic Pollution Treaty. Ongoing negotiations should be signed this year in 2025. What that tells us is that there is an international will to tackle this crisis. Second, what do we see from the World Bank? They have committed publicly $100 million for plastic credit projects in bonds in February 2024. That tells us that plastic credits are a true global solution. The World Bank doesn't wake up one morning and decides to put $100 million on a topic unless they already know the world is going that direction. What else? This article, how plastic credits could tackle the social impacts of climate change. What matters is not the article, is who posted it. The World Economic Forum back in 2023. The World Economic Forum is dictating the direction of global business around the world. And of course, if they are publishing articles about plastic credits, that's another clue for us. Wonderful. Now, for many years, we were saying, well, is this thing going to happen? Are countries really going to implement the offsetting of plastic pollution with plastic credits? Great. This is the news I want to give to you. The first country to make it mandatory by law, congratulations to the Philippines, one of the world's most polluting countries. They have passed mandatory compensation for plastic pollution under their extended producer responsibility law. That was in December 2024. Again, this is happening right now. The emergence of the market is happening as we speak. Now, when we talk about future market projection, we can find many experts talking online with different scenarios. I've played also with the AI. I'll tell you where you can find this information. But projections for the futures are just projection. What is very interesting to look at is the past. Is there a precedent? Has this happened before in a similar way? And the answer is yes. The established precedent is with the carbon market, which I described at the beginning of this video. Now, where are we at? State and trends of carbon pricing 2025. Look at the graph in the middle here. 28% of global emissions are covered by a direct carbon price, a carbon credit, or a tax mechanism. Wow, that's a third of all carbon emissions around the planet today are covered by such a mechanism. Incredible. That is a market that is very mature, right? Who posted this? The World Bank and their research. You can find this paper online. We are looking at a similar trend for plastic pollution. Those who dictate the direction of global business, once they have a formula that works, they will apply it again and again because it made its proof. It proved its success. That is why we are very confident that the plastic credit market is following in the footsteps of the carbon market, and that is very interesting today in 2025 to own plastic credits which are circular economy, which are proven and audited. We call it high integrity, such as the plastic credit delivered by the CORSAIR group. One more thing I'd like to touch upon. You might wonder, well, how long is it going to take for this market to emerge? Won't the value of plastic credit and the demand be very low for an unknown numbers of years before the regulations come in? Yes. However, the company has proposed a mechanism through a buyback program which will ensure that there is demand, actually a guarantee of demand for these plastic credits in the coming years, waiting for the big regulations to come and create massive demand on the market. It's very important. How does it work? Very simple. The buyback program, CORSAIR buys back its own plastic credits from the open market at market price. And how do they fund? Where do they find the money there? By allocating 10% of the revenues from selling the pyrolysis oil and the other profits generated by the CORSAIR group's overall business activity. And since the CORSAIR group has been expanding very rapidly over the last few years with a proven track record, we can expect this dynamic to continue, which makes the buyback program a very important mechanism to bridge from today, where pioneers are seeing the potential of plastic credits, to an unknown time in the future when a lot of regulations bring enormous demand from companies all over the world. The buyback program is allowing this time to be bridged with a guaranteed demand. The CORSAIR group will buy back with an increasing amount of funds over the next months and years those plastic credits. So the next step for you, what is it? Choose your contribution. We have different type of packages to clean up the environment. It starts at 10 euros, it goes to 100,000 euros. The formula is very simple. For 1 kilogram of plastic waste you remove from the environment, you will get 10 CSR25 plastic credits. So one plastic credit is 100 grams. So talk to your sponsor, talk to whoever is taking care of you on this journey to decide what is your contribution, what impact would you like to have on the environment, and how much plastic credits will you end up generating for yourself and your future abundance.